I see Ben sitting outside again. We're waiting for a minor technical issue, so we will begin shortly. The wonders of technology. I didn't put mine on. It's around here somewhere. Oh. I didn't put it. Did I lose it already? He just gave it to me. No, I didn't. Oh, okay. Well, hopefully it won't be that long that we need refreshments.
So, Mayor, the
Yes.
live stream seems to be having technical difficulties right now, but it's not necessary for the meeting. We are in person and also on Zoom, so we're free to start whenever you.
We are? Okay. Okay, Kevin? All right. Then I will call this meeting to order at 6:04 p.m. for this Tuesday, January 10th, 2023. And with that, may I ask for a roll call?
Here.
Here.
Councilmember Ford, can you hear me now?
Now I can. Here, virtual.
All right, here. And Mayor Harvey.
Here.
And we'll show Councilmember Lemus as absent.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Then we will move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. If you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. And we will look to approve the minutes and notice of waiving of reading of all resolutions and ordinances introduced and or adopted under this agenda. Are there any questions or comments about the minutes? Okay, I will open that up for public comment. Anybody wishing to comment on the minutes at this time? Please raise your hand. And raise your virtual hand if anyone in our virtual audience.
Thank you, Mayor Landman. Speaking to our Zoom attendee, Mayor Harvey.
It's okay.
Speaking to our Zoom attendees, if you'd like to make a public comment, please use the raise hand icon. Mayor Harvey, that'll end public comment.
Okay, we have addressed the audience here and the audience online. So with that, I would be looking for a motion. I move to approve the minutes.
My second.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor Sparks and a second by Councilmember Ford. So with that, I believe we have to do a roll call since we have someone online.
Councilmember Rivers.
Aye.
Councilmember Ford.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sparks.
Yes. Yes.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes. So that passes unanimously with one absent. So then we will move on to the announcements. So bear with me while I read the announcements. Meeting orientation for new attendees and viewers in conformance with the Brown Act and the adopted City Council rules. The meeting agenda includes items labeled as action items. Where the City Council will consider an item, citizens are afforded the opportunity to provide comments relevant to the item being discussed. The meeting agenda also includes a citizen business item, which is the designated place on the agenda where citizens have the right to say whatever they wish. The City Council may or may not choose to respond to comments as the government code allows. However, if the City Council declines to respond, it should not be perceived as giving credence to or agreeing with any statements that the City Council or its members believe are incorrect, misinformed, or purposefully biased. Next, Measure S supports police services, a variety of recreation programs for all ages, the maintenance of our streets, parks, and public buildings. See details on the web at cotadicity.org. Next, citizens interested in receiving City of Cotati community alerts via text or email are encouraged to sign up with the Nixle by downloading the Everbridge app from the iOS or Android App Store, or by texting your zip code, 94931, to 888-777. Next, like always, we love to hear from you, so please feel free to contact the city at 707-792-4600 or info@cotadicity.org. If you have a non-emergency issue after normal business hours, you can contact us at 707-792-4611. And of course, if you have an emergency, please contact 911. Continue to look for updates on the city's website and social media channels available on Facebook, Instagram, Nixle, and Nextdoor. So with that, we will look at the final agenda. Are there any changes?
Thank you, Mayor. No proposed changes for tonight.
Okay. Since this is an action item, I will open this up for public comment. Anyone online wanting to do public comment on this item?
Thank you, Mayor Harvey. Speaking to our Zoom attendee, if you'd like to make a public comment, please use the raise hand icon. And Mayor Harvey, that'll end public comment.
Okay. Then anyone in the audience here wanting to make a public comment on the final agenda? I'm not seeing anyone running up or raising their hands. So we will consider this the final agenda. Next is citizens' business and public comment for the consent calendar items. Any member of the public wishing to speak to the council on any items listed on the consent calendar or any matters not listed on the agenda that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council may do so at this time. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the council is not allowed to consider issues or take action on any item not listed on the agenda during this period. Pursuant to City Council Policy 2021-01, comments of any member of the public are normally restricted to a total of 3 minutes in length per person for matters not on the agenda, and a total of 3 minutes per person in length for any and all items on the consent calendar. The mayor may extend the time limit for a reasonable time where a disability accommodation has been requested. So with that, I will open up citizens' business, and we'll start in here. Anyone in the audience? Yes. Please come forward, and welcome.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, City Council members, members of staff, my name is Jeff Veliquette, and I'm the new Fire Chief of Rancho Adobe Fire Protection District, which you very well know covers the City of Cotati, Pen Grove, and the Liberty Valley in West Petaluma. And although new to the fire district, I certainly am not new to the fire service or to the community. I lived here in the City of Cotati for about 10 years and currently reside just outside the city limits in unincorporated Santa Rosa. So very familiar with the area and with the community. I wanted to introduce myself and put a face to the name so that you are able to recognize me. Hopefully we run into each other on the street at some point and we can say hello. And just talk to you a little bit about the fire district and our cooperative engagement with the city and also with the community. Rancho Adobe Fire District runs about 2,800 calls annually of really all risk, all hazards, so medical, fire, rescue, public service. And our crews have been quite busy over the last probably 7 days now with really no sight in end for the storms that have been occurring. And they've been working very cooperatively here in the city as well. We do that service with 3 engine companies, staffed with 3 personnel each, one right here across the street. And here in the Cotati area, we run about 1,000 calls a year. Really our goals for the fire district, my goals as the chief coming into the organization, are to strengthen relationships, and have already begun doing that within the last about 30 days that I've been with the district. Have met with a tremendous amount of elected officials, city managers, police chiefs, and other dignitaries, really in an effort to build and rebuild some relationships. You know, COVID set us back a tremendous amount, and also being the new face in town, I wanted to take an opportunity to really kick it off on the right foot. You know, our cooperative work environment, we strive to be a great partner with the city. We have a lot of things in common, of course, and working with the police chief and the city manager already, we have some plans for the future on how we can incorporate some of those ideas. One of my main goals, and I'm sure it will be a main goal of the city as well, is to see our paramedic program launched in the year 2023, initially with an engine company-based paramedic. So our goal is to get 1 paramedic on each fire engine every day of the week at all of our stations, and it is a lofty goal, and it's going to require some work with both the county and with our board of directors, but as is the right thing, and certainly a best practice in emergency services, is to have that emergency medical paramedic deliver immediate service to folks with a life-threatening illness or injury. So with that, you know, I appreciate your time, and thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing each of you.
Thank you. Any questions for the chief before we let him go? Yes, Laura.
Just wanted to say thank you for stopping by. Nice to meet you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I'd like to say welcome, and thank you for coming. And I actually do have something for you later, so we can talk later. Thank you.
Sure, sounds great. Thank you.
Ben, did you have any questions for the chief? No? Okay. I just have one. I was around campaigning and all in 2018 when Measure W was put forth, and the big emphasis on actually all of the literature that was put out was to provide the city with ambulance service. So I heard you say that in 2023 we're going to start paramedics. Could you help me with the distinction between having ambulance service and having a paramedic? Because part of, well, a lot of what was in all the literature was that we were going to get our own ambulance service.
Sure, I'd be happy to address that, and I'm going to do it briefly. However, I can't really provide you specifically all of the details. I'm still learning many of them myself. With ambulance service, it becomes part of a county-wide or operating area bid for service, and I think you're all aware that that's occurring currently, where the current provider is, or the county is looking at opening up the bid for a new provider, and that area includes the city of Cotati. In fact, it includes almost all of Sonoma County with the exception of a couple areas of the Russian River and the city of Petaluma. So for us to, as a fire district, to come in and stake claim, we don't have the legal right immediately to do that. However, there may be opportunities as we work through this to be able to do it. I've already been in some conversations with one of the proposed providers looking at how we get paramedic ambulance stationed down here in Cotati on a full-time and permanent basis, although not working directly through the fire department, but working with us and being housed out of the Cotati station. So that is a step in the right direction, certainly. Now, with ambulances, also the interesting thing is when they go on a call, typically they're out of their response area with those paramedics for an hour to an hour and a half per call, where they leave the station, respond to the call, treat the patient, transport to the hospital, restock the ambulance, and then come back to the fire station or to their quarters, which leaves that paramedic outside of our response area. What we really want to focus on is having a paramedic on that fire engine that is going to have the exact same qualifications, skills, and training that can respond immediately when 911's called, arrive, take life-saving measures with the exact same set of skills that the ambulance paramedic has, and then transfer that care to the ambulance, allow them to be gone while our paramedic remains within the city or within our jurisdiction to provide care again for that very next call. So my personal and professional opinion is it's a better system to have an engine company-based paramedic. However, I understand the desire and also the language in the tax measure for an ambulance service. So we'll continue to work through that as a district and with our elected officials, and hopefully be able to bring you some good positive news and updates. But definitely a step in the right direction, and I appreciate the question.
Yeah, as that progresses, because it sounds like you're very involved in that, if you could work with the city manager and come back and give us an update as that progresses, because we're very familiar with working on lots of JPAs with lots of things regionally, so I know
Yes.
that that can be time consuming. So if you could work with Damien, and as that progresses, it would be wonderful for us to get an update.
Yes, absolutely. We've already had an introduction, and we have another meeting on the books as we speak. So I look forward to continuing that relationship and certainly keep the council updated on where we are.
Great, thank
Great.
you.
Thank you very much.
Was there anyone online that had any questions while we have the chief up here?
Speaking to our Zoom attendees, if you have a
I don't
question
want him to
for
sit
the
down in the...
Rancho Adobe Fire Chief, you can use the raise hand icon at this time. Mayor Harvey, that'll end public comment.
Okay.
Okay.
And the audience, there's no... Okay, great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, did you have... Sure, yeah.
I just decided I don't want to be mysterious. And this is public, so I should be public. The Charles Street Village is
Yes.
interested in you visiting them and speaking with the residents. They have some concerns about a lock on a gate that they can't get through, and have been working with Burbank. And because they're, our fixed income seniors, it would be really great if, I've asked Damien and also the chief of police, they asked for the three of you, if you could go and meet with them at some point. So that was the thing I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And I'll follow up with the chief and with the city manager and make that a priority.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. We
Thank
hope
you
to
very
see
much.
you again.
Yes,
On a
absolutely.
regular basis. Okay, with that, we will move on to the consent calendar. And we have 4 items on the consent calendar. We have receive and file the fiscal year 2021-22 audited annual comprehensive financial report for the city of Cotati. B is the approval of an amendment to the professional services agreement with Coastland Civil Engineering LLP for the design of the P1 Portal Mercantile and Aaron Water Main project to add design of a water filling station. C is 2023 Cotati Iditarod shopping cart race and food drive in La Plaza Park and through various Cotati streets taking place on Saturday, March 4th. And lastly, agreement to upgrade the water sewer SCADA system. So are there any items that anyone on the council wishes to pull? Okay, we have already had public comment with the citizens' business, so I would be looking for a motion.
I move that we approve the consent calendar.
I second that.
I'll second that.
Looks like we have a motion by the vice mayor and a second. We'll let Kay win this one, okay? You get to win the next one then. So with that, can we have a roll call?
Councilmember Rivers,
Aye.
Councilmember Ford,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sparks,
Yes.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes. So that passes unanimously with 1 absent. So we will move on to direction on future agenda items. Do we have anything? Ann, do you have anything? No? Seeing shakes of heads, so with that, we will move on to the regular agenda. And the first item is to receive and file the fiscal year 2021-22 popular annual financial report, the PAFR. And I believe we're going to have a presentation on that. My guess would be it would be Angela providing that.
Absolutely. So good evening, Mayor, council members, fellow staff, member of the public. My name is Angela Corder. I'm the Director of Admin Services here for the City of Cotati. Tonight we'll be presenting to you the annual financial report to the community, which covers the fiscal year, as you stated, ending June 30th, 2022. Getting used to a new clicker, so this is very exciting. In this presentation, we'll go over, first of all, the departmental objectives or goals that this report represents, go over what the GFOA is and why they set the standard for financial reporting, specifically the report being presented today called a PAFR, and finally briefly go over what is in the Cotati PAFR specifically. So the city continues to have the goal to promote community engagement and inform and encourage participation. So one key task for Administrative Services Department is to process and record all financial or financial related documentation. With this, we're also subject to an independent audit and a consolidation of financial statements into what is called the annual consolidated financial statements. With this labor of love, we feel like the PAFR is our way to report out all this vital information, of all this collected information over a year into an easy to digest format, and also promote more participation in upcoming budget process. So this really leads us right into the next cycle of our financials. So here's just a small list of some of the financial reporting that our Finance/Administrative Services Department does on an annual basis or even a more frequent basis. There are 3 specific reports that we go an additional step and we submit them for evaluation from the GFOA. And so those are asterisked herein, and it's the citywide annual budget, the annual comprehensive financial report, as well as this popular annual financial report. So why do we submit things to the GFOA? What is the importance of GFOA? So what it stands for is the Government Finance Officers Association, and this is not just for the U.S., it's U.S., Canada, all North America. So they were established by several highly regarded professional recognition programs. They set forth an association to find a way to evaluate these documents that are being produced in different formats all across these areas to make them more succinct and comparable across the board. So if you want something that's going to be comparable and transparent and give the right information, you can compare them across different cities. What better way than to give an award for those that make sure they meet these criteria of reporting these specific important information within them. So it has over 20,000 members, and that includes federal, state, local districts. They all can apply for these type of awards for these reports. So the great thing about the GFOA is you're not just a participant passively submitting things, you're also a member of their organization, and you also then in turn review them. So you get observation and you get to evaluate others and get better ideas, specifically not so much for the financial statements, because those are very strictly guidelined, but the budget process as well as the PAFR are very open-ended as to what is going to be considered the best information for your community. And so you have that ability to reach out, see what other people are doing, and implement those best procedures. The minimum requirement for them is the basic financial statements, but we go a step beyond and we create this whole ACFR, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, in order to provide the best transparency and the full disclosure with all the footnotes as well as management's discussion and analysis of those financial statements. The ACFR report is the key financial document for the fiscal year that is under audit from our auditors, our independent auditors. So in order to even create the PAFR, you have to have the audited financial statements. So that was what's important. So you can't just create this small document, 10 pages and say this is good enough to give my community, I want an award. So we have to go above and beyond, create that whole consolidated financial statements, and then we can create this, what's considered a high-quality, popular annual financial report, which is supposed to be designed to be readily accessible and easily understandable to the general public. And it includes tasks that you have to do in order to promote it, to get it actually not just a document that sits in a binder somewhere, but out into the community. So we do actually use our social media resources and push them out on our Facebook and create quizzes and such once they get accepted by council. So I kind of dug a little bit into this already. So in order to get this PAFR award and to submit for it, we have to have that ACFR, as well as, again, clearly advise readers to the availability that this is not a standalone document. It really is based on these audited financial statements, which are in this packet and have a lot of detailed information about our city's operations and our functions. The PAFR also has to contain information, since it's on a consolidated format that shows just the citywide, we do have to say, there's more detailed funds, there's more information on where things specifically go for our general fund versus what's going for our water and sewer, because we know those monies do not touch. So those are all specific things that also have to be disclosed within our PAFR and still be easily obtained or understood by our community. So things that we make sure we include in our PAFR, because again, it's kind of open source, things that we think are important for our community to know and learn about our city, is that city history. Everyone's kind of interested in what established Cotati, why it's here, and so we do make sure we have that piece of the history of Cotati. We have key demographics and facts. Again, those kind of change year to year, so we make sure those get updated and replaced. Photos of our city council members, but that's as of 6/30/2022. Sorry, Kay. But those will get updated next year because we do want our citizens to know what our council members look like and who they are. We also list the services and information that's available on the city website or here at City Hall. Last week, we do promote, hey, we want to hear back from our community, so please reach out about our upcoming budget planning sessions. So more as to what's in our PAFR for this year. So really the goals and accomplishments of what we have are that we continue to try to improve communications of our financial condition by providing this above and beyond report for our community. We're going to focus on providing more economic development support and the investments in that area. The community safety outreach programs, how that's expanding through the SAFE program, as well as all the ongoing projects that we see going around the city. It's hard to think back 6 months, what happened then, and then even 12 months before then. So it's all those projects that have been funded with these at that point in time. So how do we simplify our financial data? So within the PAFR, we really try to stick down to the bare minimums of what could be easily digested. So we stick to highlights for the fiscal year, the comparative statement on the net position, the statement of activities, so we'll go a little bit more into what these are in the next slides, as well as a summary of the citywide revenues, summary of those expenses, the comparative of the revenues and expenses, so you can see them for the last 10 years, year over year, so you can see the progression of how things have changed, as well as an allocation of our property tax dollars. So I think that's a key part of information to our community. They don't realize that not every dollar they spend on their property taxes come right back to the city government that's actually allocated other places. So financial highlights that are included is that our net position for our financial statements improved overall by approximately $3.5 million on the citywide balance, from $51.3 million to $54.9 million. This is really that investment in city assets. All those projects that we were talking about, they were maybe delayed or postponed during COVID. We then got injected in funds and have spent those on these projects. Additionally, it goes right back into those investments. The other assets, which include cash and investments and short-term receivables, they increased by approximately $1.3 million to $23.3 million. This is primarily derived from the ARPA fundings that were received shortly after the fiscal year end, but are accrued for the current fiscal year. Finally, the general fund year-end fund balance was $8.9 million, and it's just over 1% decrease from last year's $9.1 million. There's an adjusted $9.1 million. And again, that is really just due to the use of those funds for the infrastructure projects. Make sure I'm on the right side still. So the first statement that's actually a bit of numbers, like you go through all this part of the document and there's no numbers until you get mostly through the PAFR. So the first one in there is a statement of net position. So you get into like what is a statement of net position, and really it is a balance sheet. So it's your assets and liabilities at the end of the fiscal year. So it's really a snapshot in time as of June 30th. It's used as an indicator of the financial condition of the city as of that point in time. And it includes deferred outflows and inflows of the pension and other post-employment benefits. The increases in assets for the fiscal year were primarily due to the one-time receivable, as we discussed just briefly, from the Federal American Rescue Act, or ARPA funds, of $0.9 million, as well as the investment in capital assets of approximately $3.7 million for the year. Increases in the current and long-term liabilities were adjusted due to financial reporting. We have GASB pronouncements, which we then had to adjust for our lease liabilities in the current year. So it's a new pronouncement that we had to retroactively apply, and so that's the change in the liabilities. Additionally, there was a change in the deferred inflows of resources, which was approximately $6 million due to the pension refunding, and that's exactly our additional discretionary payment we made to CalPERS for the fiscal year. And we do also point out that the full financial statements provides a management discussion and analysis, which provide even higher level discussions on the changes in these items. So what's our net position over time really look like? Really, we have still a continued upward trajectory of our net position for the citywide. These investments are the primary portion of the net position, if you see in the financial statements, are made up of our capital assets and our investments in our infrastructure. This is our streets, our roads, wells, drainage, everything within our system, and this is all reported net accumulated depreciation and outstanding debt. You will note there's the dip in 2014 and 15. It's highlighted that these are primarily due to the implementation of the accounting rules, where we were required to report out the future pension liability. So that adjusted it down by the $7.8 million. So that was really our big dip there, but otherwise it's been climbing back up since. Next statement was the statement of activities. So this is our income statement for our citywide activities. It presents the revenues and expenses for the fiscal year for the whole year. So this is the accumulation of all the transactions over time. It's used as a performance indicator. We can compare year over year what was the total dollar amount that happened during that year. It includes program revenues and general revenues, and it has specified expenses by the function, department, and program. So it really tries to group those different revenues together by their function as well as their expenses by their function. So what's really happening in Cotati? What does our statement of activity say? So the increase in program revenues, again, is primarily due to that ARPA funding of $1.7 million that was received in the year. The increases in general revenues is primarily due to increased sales tax receipts and other taxes, primarily other cannabis business taxes. Sorry, just a moment. And we'll go into a little bit more detail when we have the percentage changes for these. The total expenses increased by approximately 13%. Again, this is due to the additional discretionary payment, so we marked down our liability, but now we have to record that expense, and that expense is allocated across all the departments and funds. And so that is that significant one-time expense that we're seeing across there. And again, with each of our statements that we provide in here, we do direct readers of the statements to go to the whole financial statements for additional discussion. So then we further dissect those revenues and expenses and show them on a percentage basis as to what those changes in the revenues are. So really, the revenues continue to increase across all of the functions, as well as specifically the increase was in the operating grants, and that's due to the ARPA funds. For fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022, the expenses also increased across all functions except for water. Again, those increases in expenses were due to ARPA allocation. However, for the water fund, there was a significant reduction in consumption during the drought. And so our purchase expense for the year decreased, and the cost for operations is a direct reflection of the cost of water. So for our budget year, just as an example, our budget year for 2022-23, the purchase of water is approximately 48% of the total operating budget for water. So when you have someone directly reduce that expense, it goes across the board. So that was the one outlier for expenses for the year. So comparing the operating revenues to the expenses, you can see there's kind of fluctuations with decreases in 2013, and that was due to the loss of redevelopment funding. And then the one-time increase in 2009, 14, and 16, which were primarily related to capital infrastructure grants and contributions that totaled up to $4.2 million. So revenues from 16 on have continued to increase, and that's really due to the Measure G, now Measure S, sales tax that we receive. So this is a direct reflection of how those city funds are going to make a difference in our community for our revenues here to be able to continue to do the capital infrastructure and the work that we're doing. As you can also see, the city expenses remained fairly consistent over time, with an increase in the past 3 years due to investments in capital improvements, and now with that down payment, that pay down of the pension obligation with the unfunded liability. So as stated previously, another item that we like to make sure is included within our popular annual financial report, or PAFR, is this insight as to how the property tax is allocated when you make your payment. So under Prop 13, property tax is levied on the assessed value of a property by the county, equal to 1% of the assessed value. The tax is levied and collected by the county on the properties within the city of Cotati. The Cotati of that dollar would only receive 10 cents. And then the rest of it is allocated to schools for about 53 cents, including, of course, Cotati-Vernon Park School District, the Junior College District, the State Augmentation Fund, and the school administration. And the remainder of 20 cents goes to the county, 11 cents goes to Rancho Adobe, and 6 cents goes to other agencies. So really, out of that whole dollar for your tax, we get 10 cents of that So this again just kind of explains why the sales tax is really vital to the city. So really, a next piece of it, once this is received by council, is that we're going to start promoting it also on social media, get our quizzes up. We have printed versions that we'll make sure we give to our council members or anyone in the community. If they like to come get them, we keep them here at City Hall. We also have them at the police department. Anywhere you want to get them, we love to push them. We also have a link when we do it on social media where we have a online it's called a flip book, but something that's interactive where you can view it also online. And that's my presentation. I'll accept any questions.
Thank you, Angela. And this little paffer is much easier to carry around with me than carrying the big old budget. So I appreciate the weight, not carrying it around. So I'm going to start with you, Ben. Do you have any questions?
No, thank you. I just wanted to thank Angela and her team for the continued excellent reports. And I appreciated by the time I got to this part of the packet, it was a joy to read this after reading the entire audited reports.
Light reading after the heavy reading. Kay and Laura, do you have any questions?
No, thank you. Angela's graceful enough to answer some questions that I had offline, so thank you.
Great, thank you. Kay, you're good?
Yeah, I have questions.
Oh.
Okay, so I have some questions. So first, thank you. And I remember, like, before I was on the council, this little dollar bill was awesome. It's like, I love visual explanations of numbers, so thank you for that. One of the questions I had was, what is the educational revenue augmentation funds and the school service administration outside of the district funds? What are those?
So those are property taxes that are levied on the districts by the, so I wouldn't know what specifically those are.
Okay.
Yeah, I can look them up and then provide you answers to those at a later time. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
I happen to know.
Okay.
Come on. I don't know when this was exactly, but the state rated local government revenue, property tax revenue, and created this ERAF fund in each county. And they basically took money from all of the cities and other taxing entities, put it into ERAF, and used it to, basically transferred it to the schools. And that benefited the state of California because otherwise the state would have to use its own general fund to backfill the school revenue. So it's I don't know the best way to describe it. It's kind of a financial trick that the state used to take local government revenue sometime in maybe 2005.
There's some actually interesting graphics. So everything was relatively placid and simple before Prop 13.
Yeah.
And then that kicked off a chain of events that lasted, still continues today. Basically, when Prop 13 happened, it slashed local government revenue by half. And so that set off a bunch of other ballot measures and legislative measures that went back and forth between the state. And it seemed to go with economic cycles. So when the state was looking for money because the economy was in bad shape, they would often look for local revenue sources, and ERAF was one of them, before another ballot measure hit the ballot, and then the voters smacked the state back, and then the state found a different way to take money. And so it's been just kind of like this long, tortuous process. And so one of the unfortunate consequences of all this is it makes government financing incredibly complicated. And in most other places in the country, it's not, because it's just basically you say what revenue you need, and they set the property tax, and it's done,
Okay.
But anyway.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, and then I just want to clarify, it may be a better discussion for when we do budget, which is fine, you can just tell me that. But when I was going through it, I found some singular wireless service and the cell towers, and then it looks like there's some money that goes to Spring Lake in some Sonoma or in Santa Rosa, and like 2 copiers that was like $36,000 or something. So are those specifics better brought up when we're talking about budgets, or can you speak to them now?
Yeah,
Either's fine.
I wouldn't be able to speak to them. Yeah, I think main budget would be good.
Okay. Okay, great.
Or you feel free, if you can email me any of those specifics that you want about for future, then that would.
Okay. Well, it seems kind of a lot to me, so I was just wondering. And then the other thing, I heard you mention programs, and I saw it somewhere in your talk about all ages. And I know that as a resident of Cotati, I've seen a lot of things for kids, a lot of activities for kids, but I haven't seen a lot for elders. So I was just wondering, do we have those? Am I just missing them?
So I can speak to the ones that I know of, which I know because we do take in receipts and stuff through the rec program. So they do have a Zumba Gold program that they do, as well as Aikido. So those definitely have programs, and then there's also other programs that are facilitated out of the community center that are more other groups that are then just facilitated there. But maybe Damien could speak to other.
I will say that at the ranch, there's quite a few programs that are all age, I would call. They're not geared towards kids specifically. They're just workshops that anyone in the community can take part in. So there's that as well.
Okay, I realized I did the opposite thing with my mic, so I apologize from before.
And then again, that's also something that we absolutely speak about during strategic planning and our budget process.
Okay, great. Yeah, the question was about, I saw a lot of programs for children, or maybe all ages, but not specifically for elders, and I was just asking about what programs we had. Thank you.
Is that all? Okay, all right, we're good to go. So thank you, Angela and staff, for this. As always, I love seeing our budget numbers, so thank you for that. And I believe we can take public comment on this. So, Kevin, would you like to poll for public comment?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Harvey. Speaking to our Zoom attendees, if you would like to make a public comment, please use the raise hand icon. Mayor Harvey, that will end public comment.
Okay, and since we have somehow lost our audience here, then there's no one here. This is for us to, the City Council to receive and file the fiscal year 2021-22 popular annual financial report. So I would be looking for a motion to receive and file.
Actually, Mayor, there will be you don't need to make a motion.
We don't need a motion?
Yeah,
Oh,
just receive and file it, and we're done.
Even better. So filed. I'm sure Angela will take care of that filing. So thank you for that. So next, we get lots of joy here. We will work on the council assignments as representatives and liaisons to various committees for the calendar year 2023. So here we go. Is there a staff report on that? Do you want to make any comments before we dig in, Mayor?
Sure. Yeah, I'll
City Manager.
Yeah, I'll just have a brief one. So this is the annual item where we review assignments to committees, commissions, and other regional bodies. And I'll just point out a couple things on packet page 282. There's the summary table of all the different assignments. And so primarily what the council will be talking about tonight is that top block of assignments, which is headed by regional committees, boards, city council appointed. That's the bulk of the conversation, but just below that, under regional committees and boards, there's also the Continuum of Care Board of Directors, which is jointly appointed by the City of Rohnert Park and City of Cotati for a single seat on that Continuum of Care Board for regional homelessness efforts. And just a couple notes. So I did get word that Rohnert Park considered the Continuum of Care seats earlier tonight, and they are, just for your knowledge, as you discuss it, they're recommending Rohnert Park Councilmember Elward as the primary and Vice Mayor Sparks as the alternate. So they've already decided, and they've already made that decision. We have to agree with it. Assuming we do agree with it, then that's the end of the conversation.
And do we agree with it via this process, or do we have to bring it back through another process? Since this is the first time we've done this.
Yeah, through tonight. I mean,
Okay.
if this council agrees with Elward as the primary and Vice Mayor Sparks as the alternate, then we're good.
Okay.
If they're not in agreement, then that sets off a different kind of conversation to sort of figure out how we get to a final nominee. But so just so you know, that happened earlier tonight. I will just make one recommendation for your consideration on the CIRA REMIF board. I would just recommend that I continue as the primary. Those are very long, boring meetings, but anyway, I don't know why I do that to myself. But I would recommend that I continue as the primary, just because it's largely operational in nature, and we also have a seat on the executive committee, and it requires that I'm the primary to do that. So, and I also point out that for CIRA and REMIF, all the representatives are staff people in those boards. It just so happened with former Councilmember Moore, that was his that was his job, his experience, and so he had a specific knowledge and interest in it. That's why he was on it before. But I'll just say that. And then the last thing is, well, two last things. One is that as the council considers the different assignments, one thing that has just been a past sort of practice, but it's only a practice, it's not some sort of requirement, is that alternates would typically move to the primaries if the alternate wanted to, and the primary was moving off that seat. Primarily just because the alternate would already have some knowledge about that body. That's normally why that practice was the standard practice before. And then, even though Councilmember Lemus was not able to join us tonight, she did forward to me some of the bodies that she would be happy to serve on if the council so desires to have her serve on it. And I just provided that right before the meeting to the mayor for the conversation tonight. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Okay, probably the easiest thing to do is to just start at the top. Is that good? Okay, so ABAG. So those meetings are twice a year. They're all day. They're in the city, or they have alternately been in Oakland. But since they merged with MTC, they've since typically been in the city, but they're all-day meetings twice a year. So Mark is not here. I do not mind staying as the primary unless someone is...
Just a point of order.
Yeah.
Should we, I don't know, we have no one here, but should we open this for public comment?
Well, do we do that before or after we've discussed?
I think you could do it either way. It would be hard for the public to comment on it if they didn't know who was proposing it.
Yeah.
So maybe before you take a final vote, you give the public an opportunity to
That's
speak?
what I was thinking, was that way if someone said, oh, no, not that, we would at least get that as input. Okay. All right. So I'm willing to continue this, or if someone is dying to go to the city twice a year and do that.
I just have a question. As we consider all of these, might it be useful to know what Councilmember Lemus's availability was for?
Well, what she said was basically she listed all of them.
Okay.
So she listed all of them, but then she said, depending on my availability. So that will make it a little bit more difficult, I think, for us, since we didn't get the availability. So basically, she wanted all of them as long as she was available. So I don't know. I don't know how to deal with that exactly.
Well, yeah, I believe that she could potentially be available for any one of those.
Okay.
But depending on availability, I think, of the seat, if the council wants to
Okay, not
appoint her,
depending upon if
her
she's
availability,
available.
That was how I took it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I took it differently, but okay.
I mean, I think worst case, if there is some sort of conflict, we always can
Right.
bring it back and
We can-
reconsider it.
Perfect. Yeah, we can do a redo if we need to, if there's something that she's dying to have. So,
Mayor Harvey, may I ask a question about ABAG?
yes,
So the notes say that the alternate is a voting member. Does that mean that both of you have voting rights in these meetings, or the alternate can vote if the primary is not present?
it's if the primary's not there, then the alternate can vote. Yeah. They, how they do it is they literally do all the counties first, and then they go county and city within each county. And when they were in-person meetings, they would, you'd raise your card and there'd only be one card. With Zoom, literally the poor gentleman running it, he had to go one by one through each county, through each city, through, to get an affirmative or no vote on each item. So, does that help?
That's very helpful.
Okay.
So should we, as you go through these, express interest in ones we're interested in?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
this is one where I would be interested in an alternate role.
Okay.
I'm certainly not attached to it and not ready to step into primary right away.
Okay. And Mark, since Mark is not here, there's certainly an alternate role available here. So anybody else dying to be alternate?
I just see that was on Councilmember Lemus's list.
It is, yeah. Well, let's see if we can't figure out some for her too. How's that? Let's make sure we give her some too. So for right now, we can always come back. Let's put Ben as alternate. I'm going to try and write these down because sometimes what happens, Damien, is names pop up that we didn't know happened. So the second is the 2x2x2. Laura and I sit on this, and I'm thinking that maybe someone else might.
Yeah, if possible, because I am still working as a full-time teacher, there are actually only 3 that I can attend, and this, it's a school district, so
Yeah.
I would really love to be on this one if I could.
Okay. And Laura, did you want to stay?
Well, depending on the other assignments that I walk away with,
Okay.
right, I might be
Okay.
willing to step aside on that one.
Okay, so why don't we tentatively, it looks like we might have to do a second pass, which is fine. So we will take me off and put in Kay right now. The Rohnert Park Cotati Library Advisory Board. Now I know you're very interested in libraries.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this one, and it's like John and NA, so I feel like I got a good shot on this one.
Okay, and this was not on Sylvia's list, so I don't think we have to worry about that, so we can give this one to Kay. And do you have any interest in being an alternate?
I certainly could be. I was wondering why we didn't have an alternate before and whether we needed
I
one.
think because John always went, he
Okay.
wanted to go, so we just didn't have one. Nobody stepped up, right?
But I think also because this is purely an advisory role,
Correct.
a liaison role, there's not a voting component to it.
Right, but when I was on it, I remember part of, the Rohnert Park was on there and Cotati was on there, and it gives us the opportunity to say what's going on within our city. So, if the primary isn't available, it would be nice to have someone go to, represent the city. Not too dissimilar, Laura, to how we do on the 2x2, kind of just say what's going on in the city, that kind of similarity. At least that's how it was when I was on it years ago. So Laura, you want to be the alternate then? Or Ben, are you? We're jumping over Ben here.
I would be willing to be an alternate. It's not at the top of my list. So
I think I feel the same.
Okay, you two roll a dice and, okay.
It's fine to put me down. I'm confident Kay will be a regular
Yeah.
attendee.
So should I put Ben down?
Sure, let's put him down for now. And
Okay, and
we'll
if
look at
we-
it again on the second pass.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just trying to keep track here. Okay, mayors and council members ledge committee. We lost both the primary and the alternate. Ledge committee is something that that Sylvia was interested in.
I'm also interested in this one. I noted
Okay.
on Councilmember Elward's letter of interest for the continuum of care that she had sort of linked those two together, and I thought that made some sense. So I'm interested in serving on that.
So why don't we put you as the primary, if everyone's agreeable to that. Ben, are you listening? You'll jump in if we do something, okay. And we will put Sylvia as the alternate. Remeth and Sarah, we have Damien, we need an alternate. Is anybody interested in this? So Damien, if no one wants it, I'll be your backup. And I do have insurance experience working for an insurance company for 35 years. I think I can pinch hit for you if need be, unless, Ben, you want to do it. I mean, I think Damien's going to be there.
It's pretty rare, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Russian River Watershed Association, are we wanting to make any changes with that?
Well, this is one that I enjoy the work. Depending on how the others shake out, I would certainly be happy to swap roles with Laura, or if somebody else wanted to sort of pair some water things together, that might make sense. So I'm happy to leave it like this for now and see how the others shake out.
You good with that?
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
good to me.
All right. Let's see. I'm just looking. That is also something that Sylvia might be interested in too. So let's continue on for right now. Sonoma Clean Power. Ben?
So that's one where I've been the alternate.
Right.
And, have a strong interest in this area, and so I would appreciate this appointment. The meeting time is a time that works, and it's an area that I'm very interested in.
Okay. Anybody want to be alternate? Laura, are you interested in alternate?
Yeah,
Sylvia
I can't.
has it down. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
I would be happy to have Sylvia be the alternate on that if that's something she
Okay.
has an interest in.
She does have it down, so should we? Okay, and SCTA, RCPA, I've been the alternate for, oh my God. I've waited on this alternate seat for probably 8 or 9 years, so I would love to move to the primary. Mark was always there. It was really not very often that I was able to do that. So everybody okay with that? And then we need an alternate.
So that, for me, that pairs sort of the energy and climate piece is what I'm very interested in. So I would be interested in being the alternate for SCTA.
Were you going to say something, Laura?
Oh, I also have an interest in being the alternate, but I think it does make sense what Councilmember Ford said to pair the two together, so that would be okay with Ben being.
Okay, all right. All right, so for right now, we'll put Ben there. Waste Management Agency, I would like to stay on this. We've got some pretty good stuff. It doesn't look like this is an interest at all for, come on, landfills? Please, guys. I mean, seriously, composting.
Important stuff.
Yeah, it is important stuff. So does anyone want to be the alternate rather than Damien, so we could give Damien a break, or is anyone not interested in being, and she doesn't have it on her list? I guess it wasn't interesting enough.
What time are the meetings?
Yeah,
for
I'm
them?
actually super interested in this, but it's during the
Yeah,
day
they're
in the morning.
Thursday mornings.
Yeah, I can't do it.
They're Thursday mornings. No?
My
Okay.
teaching schedule won't allow it.
Okay, all right. So Damien, we have nominated you to be the alternate on this.
Yeah, that's fine.
What
I'm
do you
good.
think?
I'm good with that.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Davey.
It says Wednesday morning on here, is it?
I know they
Yeah,
changed it
okay.
to
The morning.
Thursday. So yeah, that needs to be corrected. Thank you, Laura. They did change it. One of the supervisors had a problem with Wednesdays, and so we moved it to Thursdays. So, let's see. So that stays the same. So the Water Advisory Committee. So are you?
Well,
You want-
I do have a question. I am interested in taking on a little more responsibility.
Okay.
And just wondering, since you're going to be moving into the primary on SCTA, you'll be the primary on so many things. Do
Yeah.
you have any interest in letting go?
Do you want to do the WAC? I think it could fit in with your schedule because it's only
Yeah.
quarterly, and that way, if it's not as big of a burden with your schedule. And
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
work well for my schedule.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody else want secondary on that? Let's see. Sonoma Water Advisory Committee. Let's see. I mean, I guess we could put Sylvia as the alternate on that.
How many things are we signing up for her?
We've only put her on Sonoma Clean Power and Ledge, so this would kind of be 3 things for her, which is probably
Nothing primary though yet, right? You
nothing
must-
primary, no.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, was the idea to swap the two of you on that? or
I was
to-
going
down.
to let Laura have
Oh,
it
okay.
and be the primary,
Okay,
and then
have someone else be the
have
alternate.
someone else, yeah.
Okay, okay.
So I'll ask.
Did she express interest on that one? Sylvia?
She did,
Okay.
yeah. So I think we could do that.
And
She's
Ben?
going to hate us, huh?
And Ben, you weren't interested? Okay.
The groundwater sustainability, I do want to stay on that since I've worked for so many years getting the plan together, and until the state gets back and gives us the feedback, I kind of like to stay with that. And I'm the chair, so I guess that would be a little weird. And we lost the vice chair because they did not run for re-election. So we right now do not have a vice chair because the whole group is getting kind of mixed up because of what happened with the council elections. So that'd probably be good. And Ben, do you want to stay as alternate?
Well, if there's somebody else who could be a more reliable backup for you, that would be better. I know the schedule is not good for me, so if there's somebody else.
Okay.
And it sort of, I'm not doing the water portfolio here.
Right,
so
right, okay.
Somebody else pick that up.
So,
Unfortunately, Thursday afternoons
not
are
really
during my
good.
teaching.
Okay,
Yeah.
so for right now, why don't we leave me as primary, and we'll put Sylvia. Sylvia's going to wish she was at this meeting. We may have, I mean, if any of these are, I mean, it's on her list, so if any of these are a problem for her, then we'll do that. League of
Yeah, and if
California.
that turns out,
Yeah.
to be a problem, I can still be the alternate. That's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah, I mean, I try and get to all of those meetings. So it hasn't been a problem, but, you never know. League of California Cities annual meeting, those we kind of do right before the meeting. We assign, who it is that's going to be our delegates. So I don't think we have that. Chamber of Commerce liaison.
So I had a question about this one.
Okay.
So their meeting is at 5:15 on Tuesday? Is it the same Tuesday as our meetings? Like, do you ever get to go to those?
John used to go all the time and then come right over here. So that's what he
So just
did.
like the first 45 minutes? or
Yeah,
something?
he just would
Okay.
go and then just pop across the road.
Yeah, the order of business is like the city report early in the agenda, and then we're out of there by 6 or before 6.
Okay.
Yes, Laura?
Well, could this be maybe a
primary-
primary for Sylvia?
That's what I was just going to say that.
Yeah,
So,
this seems like something she'd be interested in.
yeah,
For sure.
I think so too, and with her connections with,
Right.
with
County.
other Chamber of Commerce, I think it might be a good fit for her. Anybody chomping at the bit to be the alternate? No? Okay, I'll just stay alternate for right now if we need to do that. And then continuum of care, I guess we have to decide, and will we have to vote on that to decide?
Yeah, just,
Ultimately, we can do it with the rest of these?
you can do them with the rest
All
of them.
together, okay.
Okay. So I guess my recommendation would be to have Laura be the primary, and I'm good with Jackie being the primary and you being the alternate, if that's, sounded like that was going to work better for you, right?
Yeah, that would be my preference.
Okay,
To be
all
able to learn a bit more.
Yeah,
And not be,
and it sounded like it's very intensive, so, yeah. If that gets to be, of course, if that gets to be too much, just let us know, because according to John, some of those meetings were like, 4 and 5 hours long, a lot of them every week, so let us know if it's too much.
will do.
So we've got Jackie and Laura. I'm assuming that you're okay with that, Ben? I didn't ask you. Okay, all right. Then these other ones are really appointed by other organizations, right?
Sorry. Yeah, the other ones in the summary table are appointed generally by
Right,
the mayors and council members or city selection committee.
right. And just for everyone's sake, in case they didn't see the memo, I did apply for the LAFCO because I think it's important since we actually lost all three. We lost Pam from Roanoke Park, Mark, and Patrick Slater from Sebastopol. So I think it's kind of, we lost a lot of institutional knowledge there. So I just think it's important for us to kind of keep our eyes and ears open on that one. Everyone around us, what they might do.
I do have a question about those.
Yeah.
Will we be considering the letters that people sent in for those appointments at a later meeting? Are we supposed to talk about them now?
Right, yes. There are currently, so the meeting is going to be on February 9th. That's the board of directors meeting where they'll be making the selections. So we'll be talking about it at the next council meeting on 24th.
Right. And depending upon how many people apply for all of those, sometimes it's really easy, and sometimes we have to pick from, if there's 2 spots and 3 people, then.
So to clarify, is that a whole council decision, or is it individuals?
It's a whole council decision.
Okay.
And then we move, our representative on the city selection will bring forward what our recommendation is, and all the cities will do the same. And it only gets contentious if there is not a lot of agreement. If there's agreement, it goes pretty smoothly, but sometimes you get, one city picks these 2 people and another city picks these 2 people, and then it ends up, we can have to go through quite a few votes before we actually get it settled with all the cities at the city selection committee.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was talking about
Okay.
something else.
Oh,
So
okay.
good.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
I thought you were talking about commissioners, so never mind.
Oh, okay. Oh,
So,
planning commissioners,
Never
something
mind.
different. Okay,
Yes,
all right.
got it. Thank you.
That we will be taking care of by having applicants.
Yeah, on the 24th, hopefully.
Okay.
As well,
There you
planning
go.
commission as well.
That's why I thought he was talking about
Okay.
commissioners, so never
Okay,
mind.
Yeah.
that's all right.
I'm with you now.
It's all right.
Thank you.
Glad you clarified that. So the rest of them, we don't really have to do anything on, huh?
Well, I have a question about Measure O, because it didn't list when they meet. Do we know when they meet?
And
The Measure O Oversight Committee?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, that again is not our decision, but so you'll see these calls for letters of interest come out for these various bodies. If you submit a letter, it goes to in this case, the City Selection Committee, which recommends the Board of Supervisors. That group is purely like that group's job is purely to review expenditure reports and make sure that expenditures comport with the referendum that was passed by the voters. So that's not a program committee. It meets 4 times a year, and typically Wednesday afternoons, 4:30 to 6 is what it's been doing.
Okay, thank you. So that is one I could do.
So I don't know when Ben's term expires, because they're usually, through the city selection ones, some are 2 years, some are 4 years. So when that expires, you can wrestle maybe with Ben, and one of you can put in a letter
Not
of
necessary.
interest.
Not
Okay.
necessary. No.
Or you could both put one in, and then we can have a wonderful discussion.
Or can
This
we,
is one that
do we have alternates for that? Because it says NA. Could I go in as an alternate? Or just
no,
apply?
So the ones in the lower part of this table are not our council's decisions.
Right.
So we're not making any of those appointments. So
Right.
we can't do anything about those positions.
Oh, okay. Well,
And
I'm-
including there are no alternates.
oh, okay. So when they call for applications, there's just one from our council then, or one person? I guess I'm not clear on.
So when they put out the request for these city selection ones, you can put in a letter of interest, and everybody could put in a letter of interest. I mean, everybody on a council could put one in, but depending upon how many seats there are, then you have to, put forward as a group. We would, let's just, for argument's sake, say there's one seat, and we had 10 applications.
Right.
We would have to put forward what our name is. Our representative would sit with the city selection group and say what ours was, and then you have all the other cities. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Can I make
Yeah.
a clarifying comment?
Yeah.
There's also a number of councils that are these countywide councils that we just don't happen to have any representation on, and they're not listed on here. So this is just the subset of those countywide things that we happen to have somebody from Cotati on there.
Okay.
Through that process. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
But yeah, you'll see when they put out the requests
Okay.
for letters of interest. There are other ones that we just
Perfect.
don't happen to have anyone, but you may be interested in them. So yeah.
Yeah. No, fundamentally, there was just only 3 that I could do, and that's why I was
Okay.
asking about it.
Yeah.
Thanks. It's okay if I don't.
Okay. So, should we start from the top again? See if we're happy with our work. So, for ABAG, have myself as the primary and Ben as the alternate. Are we?
And having taken on Sonoma Clean Power, I would be perfectly happy if somebody else wanted to step into that alternate role. ABAG's an important role, and somebody else wanted to line up for that, that would be fine.
2, 3, 4, 5. I would put Sylvia down, but we have her on 5 things. I'm just, she's not here to defend her. So,
I'd be happy to sign up as alternate on that too. Yeah. If you're wanting to get off of it, then I'd be happy to do the alternate role.
I'm not attached to it and happy to step aside for you to.
okay, should we do that then? All right, I'm taking Ben off and putting Laura on. All right, very good. Good work. And the 2x2x2, I have Kay as a member and Laura as member. Okay with that? Okay.
If we can revisit that, if Sylvia has an interest in that, I'm willing to
Okay.
let her
Okay. Yeah.
join.
Okay. The Library Advisory Board, I have Kay as the primary and Ben as the alternate. Okay. Then the Mayors and Council Members Ledge Committee, I have Laura as the primary and Sylvia as the alternate. And that was on her list, so hopefully the timing will work for her. Again, all caveat, with if these really work for her or not. Remif Sira, we have Damien as the primary and myself as the alternate. Russian River Watershed Association, easy for me to say, Ben as the primary and Laura as the alternate.
Now that Laura stepped into one of the water roles, I just wanted to check and see if Laura, if you thought it made more sense for you to be primary in there, be fine.
I feel like that particular group, it's been pretty easy to stay abreast of what's happening in the alternate role, so I'm happy to remain there unless you are wanting to make a change. It doesn't
No,
really
that's
matter to
fine.
me.
I
Okay.
enjoyed it. It's also Thursday mornings, which I think are problematic.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we have Ben as primary and Laura as alternate, right? Okay, and stick with that. Sonoma Clean Power, we have Ben as primary and Sylvia as the alternate. SCTA, RCPA, I have the primary and Ben has the alternate. Okay. Waste Management Agency, I'm the primary and Lucky Damien is the alternate. The WAC, Laura is the primary and Sylvia is the alternate. Groundwater Sustainability Agency, I'm the primary and Sylvia is the alternate. We don't have the League of California's. Chamber of Commerce, we have Sylvia as the primary and myself as the alternate. And then Continuum Care Board, we have Jackie as the primary and Laura as the alternate. And I think that's all the ones we have to do. Are we happy with this work we have done? Good job, team. We did it. So with that, I'm sure Damien has taken a lot of notes. I will open this up for public comment to see if our audience would like to comment on our selections. So Kevin, put that out to the audience.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Harvey. Speaking to our Zoom attendees, if you would like to make a public comment, please use the raise hand icon. Mayor Harvey, that will end public comment.
Okay, and since we have no one in the audience here, there will end public comment both online and in public. So with that, I would be looking for us to adopt a motion to assign representatives and liaisons to our various committees and commissions for the calendar year 2023.
So moved.
And do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion by the Vice Mayor and a second by Councilmember Ford. Come on, you guys, I'm not like, you guys, you guys are just used to me making the motions.
We're just waiting for you to do it.
I can't do it. John won't let me do it. Yeah, so with that, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Rivers,
Aye.
Councilmember Ford,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sparks,
Yes.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes. And we will assume that Sylvia agrees with all of our work. If not, I guess we'll have to make some adjustments, but thank you guys. Okay, so with that, we will move on to the city manager's report.
All right, that was relatively painless, right?
I think we did a good job.
Yeah.
Good job, team.
Okay, so just a little update on SAFE. We are looking, well, you know, obviously, you know that Sonoma State recently joined. They're going to have a kickoff coming up here soon on the 23rd, I believe it is. So that's just right around the corner. By the end of this week, next week, they're supposed to be at 24 hours, 7 days a week. So that's good news.
Cool.
They've been gradually ramping up.
That is awesome.
So we have the window replacement project happening on this side of City Hall, which is disrupting things a bit. Administrative Services has relocated. They're living out of a trailer in the parking lot. I'm just kidding. They're actually in the police building. So there's the community services room, which is right off the lobby, and the police building. So if anybody, it's all signed here and directing people over there if they have to come in to pay a water bill or a business license or a dog license. They're just temporarily over there, and they will be obviously moving back once the windows are replaced. So hopefully that'll be here in January if the weather allows. We'll get it done quickly and get them back in there. So talking about weather, we do have additional rain forecast, but so far the city has fared pretty well during the heavy rains and the winds. We did have, a multi-day power outage along Old Redwood Highway that impacted the East Cotati Old Redwood Highway signal over the weekend. We were able to connect a small generator to it and keep it going though. So that was not that big a deal. And we also do have backup generators at our sewer lift stations. With the intermittent power losses, you want to make sure that the sewer lift stations don't fill up with sewage because eventually they come out and go onto the street, and that's not really where you want the sewage to be. So we have backup generators there to keep those pumped in case the power goes out. And the only, aside from just some minor tree limbs and things like that that fell through winds that were quickly cleared off the streets, the only other issue that has cropped up so far is some minor flooding in the industrial area. So that's between the Laguna de Santa Rosa and Copeland Creek it's on the west side of Highway 101. So we do have some, and that's pretty typical when we have heavy rains. It'll flood a little bit in there, and the streets will get water. It's a low point, and water just backs up there. So with all this extra water, our reservoir storage is quickly filling up, which is great news. So Lake Sonoma, which is the primary water supply reservoir for Sonoma County, and also the biggest reservoir in this area, before these recent rains, had already dropped below 100,000 acre-feet of storage. Right now, I think it's 170,000 acre-feet or so. The water agency is projecting it to go over 200,000 acre-feet with just the storms that is forecast right now. So that's all good news because the water supply storage in Lake Sonoma is 250,000 acre-feet. So the goal is to try to get to 250,000. So once we have that, we'll have a full reservoir with water supply.
Recording stopped.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, that's the goal. And once it gets to 245,000 acre-feet, it's going to go into the flood pool. So at that point, then we'll start releasing more water from the dam. And Lake Mendocino, which is also another reservoir in the Russian River system, is over its water supply pool right now, and it's in the flood pool. So its operation switches to the Army Corps of Engineers when that happens. The water agency operates it when it's in the water supply pool, and then when it goes into the flood pool, then the Army Corps of Engineers takes over operations. And then the other nice benefit, of course, of the dams is that all that water that it's storing is water that's not going down the river and contributing to flooding conditions in Guerneville and the lower river. So, in terms of projects, all our projects are basically on hold right now, pending the weather. So once the weather clears up, we'll get those projects going again. Primarily the sewer project out here on West Sierra, Cotati Park, and the window project are the ones that are primarily on hold at the moment. And we do have a public workshop coming up on January 17th at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. It's a joint City Council Planning Commission workshop about the downtown specific plan. There's an update proposed to that, so it's going to be an initial public conversation about that. There'll also be a community survey coming out shortly as well. And then finally, on January 27th, we have our first Kids Night Out event of 2023 from 5 to 9 p.m. This is it's an opportunity for parents to bring their kids by, and they can go on a date or whatever they want to do. And then while the kids hang out with our camp staff and play games, have pizza dinner and watch movies. We also, in February, are bringing back a very popular Valentine Daygrams, where you can send a Valentine to your loved one at any Cotati resident or business address that's a refinement after the first year. They refined it to Cotati because initially it wasn't refined to Cotati, and they were going all over the place. So it makes it much more manageable. But this is it's a cookie flower, candy, mini balloon, stickers, and personalized card, and they usually sell out. So if you want one, reserve soon. And then in March we have our Camp Cotati Spring Break Camp in Colors of Spanish, Spring Break Camps. And then a bunch of other programs are coming up, including Bunny Brunch. That'll be April 1st. The Spring Festival at the Veranda Fleddy Ranch. Community Camp Out at the ranch. Community Yard Sale, and many more things. And with any questions for any of these type recreation events, you can contact Ashley Wilson at the city here. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions.
A question about the Safe 24 Hours. Do you know, will there be a van operational in Petaluma and the Rohnert Park Cotati area? Is it just going to be one van sharing the whole region?
So yeah, so far they're operating independently. I mean, there's at the very top management, they're joint, but all the operational arms are independent currently.
Okay.
So I know when we first kicked it off, we talked about maybe when we went to 24/7, we might share resources, but right now we're just they stood theirs up 24/7 a couple months ago, and so we're just following. And at some point, maybe we might look at doing some sort of
See
joint
how many
program.
calls we get at night and see if it makes sense to...
Yeah, but not so far.
Okay, great. And I had one other question about the projects on hold pending the weather. Is that affecting the Pocket Park work also, or do you have any estimate for that completion?
It is affecting that one as well. Yeah. So that's on hold until the weather allows us to get back in there and finish it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kay, did you have any questions? No? Ben, did you have any questions? No. I had one question. Damien, will the survey be out before the meeting that we're having, or will it be after, or concurrent, or?
Concurrent. So I hope that the survey goes out this week. That's the plan. So it'll be out during the meeting, but it'll be open, past the meeting. So it's concurrent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So with that, thank you for that wonderful report. There is no action on this, so we will move on to city council member reports. Ben, do you have any? Kay, do you have any? City council member, you attended all your assignments now, and come on, report on these, Kay.
Not yet, thank you.
Okay. Laura? No. Well, all of my committees and things kind of took a hiatus for December. I did want to mention that I'm working with Damien to be able to have some city hall hours. So we're trying to work on a schedule for me to be able to be available. And as always, I'm happy to make an appointment with anyone at any time. All they have to do is call City Hall at, let me make sure I get the number right, 707-792-4600, and I'm happy to meet anyone. If those hours don't work for them, please consider making an appointment. So thank you.
I realize I've never said it in a meeting. I do have a Coffee with Kay on 6 p.m. I think it's the third Tuesday of each month at Redwood Cafe here in Cotati. That said, this next one, the 17th, we have a public workshop here, and so of course, anybody who'd like to come talk to us, come to our workshop. And then I'm working right now with Damien to set up a regular first and third Saturday here in City Hall, probably in the conference room. So unfortunately, because of the construction, I can't start it quite yet, but just know that that's coming. And as soon as I can, I will do those as well.
Okay, thank you for that. So then we will move on to public comments on non-action agenda items. So Kevin, could we check with the public?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Harvey. Speaking to our Zoom attendees, if you would like to make a public comment, please use the raise hand icon. Mayor Harvey, that will end public comment.
Okay, and since there's no one here in the room, then that will end public comment online and in person. So we will move to information received after the agenda was posted, and we did get one letter that has been added to the record from Ms. Alderman. So that has been added to the record. And with that, do we have any other information received?
Just the minor updates to the PAFR report that
Okay.
have also been uploaded to the web agenda and provided here in the chamber.
Okay, thank you for that. So with that, I would call us adjourned at, oh, sure.
Okay, I'd just like to make a brief comment on the letter. First, thank you for sending it in. And secondly, I would just like to say that I have discussed, or Damien, or not, actually with Kevin, is looking into potentially providing the seating in a place that you feel more comfortable, or that the person who wrote the letter feels more comfortable. And that I did want to also say that I believe I understand what was being asked, and I do want to apologize. The way it was handled is not the way that I would have handled it, and I just want to have said that. So thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Then I will consider this meeting adjourned at 7:38. Thank you very much.